When it comes to writing a resume, there are certain things that you should avoid including. In this video, we'll share some helpful tips to make your resume stand out from the crowd. Remember that your resume is often the first impression that recruiters and hiring teams have of you, so it's important to make it clean, concise, and well-crafted. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in creating their resume is using too many bright colors, graphics, charts, or clip art. While it may seem like a good idea to add some personality to your resume, it can actually be distracting and take away from your qualifications. Stick to simple colors like blue, black, and magenta if you must, and avoid any flashy graphics or infographics, unless you're in a creative field like graphic design. And be careful with infographics that show your proficiency level in certain skills, as it could inadvertently highlight areas where you're not as strong. Keep it simple and safe. Remember that a professional, well-crafted resume can go a long way in helping you stand out to potential employers. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more career-related content. And thanks for watching. Don't include infographics on your resume because it could make you lose out on the job without you realizing it. It's best to let the employer assess your skills during the interview process. If you are lacking in a particular skill that the employer is looking for, make a note to work on improving it before applying. However, don't lie or misrepresent your skills on your resume. Also, avoid using multiple columns as ATS systems might have difficulty parsing them. If you have multiple columns with skills listed out, the ATS system might only read the first column, making other skills invisible. This could make you miss out on being found in the future if the recruiter searches for specific keywords. To ensure maximum discoverability, remove all columns from your resume. Another thing to avoid on your resume is including a photograph of yourself. This is primarily applicable in the US or North America, although it is relatively common in Mexico. Including a photograph can lead recruiters to assume that you are not based in the US, which is important to keep in mind if you are trying to get work in the United States. However, if including a photograph is customary in your country, then it's best to be consistent. Another important thing to avoid is personal identifiers, such as your gender, race, creed, color, or marital status. We want to eliminate any decision-making based on factors that are not work-related. And disclosing personal information can give unscrupulous employers a reason to discriminate against you. This is particularly relevant if you belong to a protected class, so if it's prohibited by law, don't include it on your resume. Let's not make it easy for employers to discriminate against us. If including personal information is common practice in your country, then it's best to follow local traditions. We should avoid putting unnecessary personal information on our resume. One thing to avoid is having an unprofessional email address. We've seen some pretty strange ones like problemkid29@yahoo.com. And it doesn't give a good impression to potential employers. If you have an email address from your college days or an unprofessional one, it's a good idea to create a new one with your full name or something neutral. Avoid using nicknames or anything that could be used to discriminate against you. Keep it clean and professional. Another thing to avoid is including your full address on your resume. All you need to put is your city and state. They don't need to know where you live or send you any mail. Also, we don't want to give the hiring manager any reason to discriminate against your application. For example, if you live far from the job and the hiring manager had a previous employee who quit because of the long commute, they might be sensitive to that and reject your application based on that. To avoid this, don't put your specific location, just the city and state. Only add a specific location if it's necessary, like if you live in a particular area of the city. If you work remotely, it's important to include your city and state in your resume. This information can help recruiters take into account any time zone differences when considering you for a job. Additionally, some jobs require that you be located in a specific geographic region due to tax or other legal reasons. It's important to follow proper protocol when applying for jobs outside of your country of residence. When it comes to work history, employers are typically interested in your last 10 years of experience. Anything older than that may not be relevant, as skills and market demands change over time. Avoid using industry-specific jargon or acronyms in job titles, as recruiters and hiring managers may not be familiar with them. It's important to make your job responsibilities and experience as clear as possible to increase your chances of being hired. When listing your education, it's not necessary to include every detail about your degree or minor. Simply stating the college or university you attended and the type of degree you received is sufficient. Employers don't typically weigh minors heavily, so there's no need to include a list of courses unless you're an entry-level candidate looking to show your suitability for a particular job. When it comes to your grade point average, the same rule applies. If you are more than 3 years out of college, don't include it. Employers usually don't care, and you can just offer it during an interview if needed. However, if you're entry-level or have less than 3 years of experience, keep it on there but remove it once you hit that experience threshold. The same goes for internships. Drop them from your resume if you've been in the workforce for more than 3 years. Listing actual references or saying references available upon request is unnecessary. Employers will only ask for references if they need them, and asking for them on your resume is outdated. We just assume that you have references available if needed. Let's talk about salary for a moment. We've noticed that some people include their salary history in their resumes, detailing how much they've made at each job. However, we strongly advise against this unless you want to limit your potential salary. By disclosing your salary history, you risk receiving a lower offer from employers who have a wider salary range. It's not worth it. The employer will likely ask you about your salary expectations during the first round interview, so there's no need to include this information in your resume. Avoid listing anything related to your current or expected compensation. Let's cover 2 more items related to skills. The first one is using universal or generic skills such as Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. These basic packages are industry standards, and it's assumed that anyone in a professional level job has experience with them. So there's no need to waste valuable space on these skills. If the recruiter needs to know, they can ask in the interview. Leadership and organization skills should also be demonstrated through your bullet points rather than listed as generic skills. The last thing to avoid is using generic, flowery, or cliché language such as team player or fast learner. These phrases are overused and do not add value to your resume. Everyone claims to be a team player and a quick learner, so it's better to avoid them and focus on more substantial content. We have never encountered a hiring manager who was impressed by these generic phrases, so it's best to skip them and make better use of your resume real estate. If you're watching this video, it's safe to assume that you want to improve your resume. The truth is, if you've been applying for jobs and not getting many responses, and you're confident that you meet the qualifications for the positions you're applying to, the issue is likely with your resume. That's why it's essential to ensure that your resume is optimized for recruiters. If you need more help revamping your resume, be sure to check out our video on 10 crucial skills you need on your resume for additional insights into what recruiters are looking for. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your job search and resume writing. We'll see you in the next video.